pros in the wild. You got time?
Sure do.
All right, David and Chaz. I have a very specific and unique example of when approaching a pro in the wild may not have been appropriate. I'll let you two decide since I haven't been able to classify this interaction, which is nearly 15 years old. Like any surfer born in the late 70s to early 80s, I spent countless hours watching Taylor Steele's VHS tapes and was enamored with the entire Momentum Generation crew. Originally from Ventura County, I had the occasional run in with the Currens and the Malloy brothers. They were always cordial, but being a very young kid, I never was compelled to approach them and start up a conversation. Fast forward to a decade or so ago, maybe 2007 ish. I'm a grown man with a real job and real responsibilities, living near North County, San Diego, and frequenting Oceanside for my weekly ocean adventures. One particular day, I ventured my way over to Trestles for an early afternoon, midweek session at Middles, hoping to get a few waves to myself. The lineup was fairly empty, with only a handful of guys to be seen around. I paddled out and shortly after was joined by Teddy Navarro and none other than Kalani Robb. The three of us traded waves for an hour or so before I got the courage to approach Kalani. I paddled back out after a wave, and when Kalani kicked out, after absolutely demolishing the wave in front of me, putting us mere feet away from one another, I asked, I looked, I saw Kalani look over to me and I made my best attempt at humor. And I simply said, quote, "Hey man, you surf pretty good. You ever think about going pro?" Kalani stared at me like a fed up housewife finding the toilet seat up again. Sensing his anger, I attempted to lighten the mood and said, relax a little bit. I was just messing with you." Kalani forced a smile and a chuckle, and he went on his way. I ended up relaying this story to a buddy of mine who was and currently is much more up to date with all the things surfing than me. And he told me that Kalani was working an office job at a pharmaceutical company in Irvine after retiring from surfing. And the word on the block was that he was pretty miserable with his current state of affairs. With that newfound information, I felt like my well intentioned joke was likely perceived as a punch in the gut rather than a good natured ribbing. Keeping this in mind, my failed execution of a harmless, or keeping this in mind, is my failed execution of a joke, of a harmless joke to blame? Or are there times when approaching a pro in the wild would have been a better, or not approaching the pro in the wild would have been a better option? I haven't been able to sleep in 17 years thinking about this. Hopefully, you guys can help. Thanks, Brett.
I've got it. It's option C. Kalani Robb is a dick. Like, as simple as that. Like, who cares, Kalani? Like, for surfers are not famous enough. Surfers are not Taylor Swift. Surfers are not even, what, Angelina Jolie. Surfers are nothing. Surfers, to get recognized as a surfer, is like, if you don't have the grace, the amount of grace, if you're Kalani Robb, to just smile and laugh or to say hi or to be fake friendly when something like this happens. Who cares what's happened in your day? If you like this person doesn't know, putting your bad life on somebody else, just smile and nod. And if you want to go internal, Kalani Robb could think, I was really blessed for a period of my life where I got paid to surf, and those were good times. And now, hey man, I'm in the dregs here. It's not cool. I'm in the salt mines, but I can reflect back on those good times, and I don't need to put my bad times on this dude. Like, I can smile and say, ha ha, thanks, man. Whatever, laugh and paddle back out. Surfers are not famous enough, I'll say it again, to ever be rude to anyone.
Don't disagree with you. I think your sentiment is spot on. However, it was a terrible joke.
It doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter if he said, like, it's not that bad. It's like, it's just kind of a dad joke, right? It's like, even if it lands well, it's not that funny. But I get that you're awkward and you just want to say something, you don't want to sound like a fan, but you want to say, I know who you are, and whatever. I get the pickle he was in. But again, I'm putting all blame on the surfer, in this case, Kalani Robb.
Go for it. I just feel like Kalani didn't punch him in the face over it. Kalani didn't say "shut the f up" or anything like. He just like was confused, and that was because the joke was so bad. That's my
Even
point.
even bad attitude though, I'm gonna say is you professional surfer are not afforded the right to have a bad attitude ever.
Yeah.
Like you have had a minute to do something spectacular, and you better be gracious and grateful for the rest of your life to everyone.
Well, I can think of no surfer who has better genetic gifts than Kalani Robb. That guy, I don't know how old he is. He has had a six pack, probably an eight pack up until today, like
Yeah.
his entire life. And I don't think of him as being like the most strict, disciplined workout dude. Like he just was gifted with that and still carries the gift after all these years.
So you got to be gracious, Kalani Robb. Didn't Kalani? He was the one who tried to be an actor, right?
I don't remember him
Was
trying to
that
be an
Kalani?
actor.
Who was the other Hawaiian dude who
Matty
was
Liu.
no? I think it's Kalani. I think
Well, he
Kalani,
in Forgetting
yeah,
Sarah Marshall.
exactly. I think Kalani really tried to go the acting route, like
Okay.
legit tried. And I
Okay.
don't think so. Maybe he's mad about that.
Yeah, maybe. And by the way, I said naturally genetically blessed, but naturally gifted as a surfer. Like his surfing
Beautiful.
ability, and I know there's a lot of people who have more talent than others naturally, but his was like, and still is. Like you just watch the way that he is on a wave, it was like he was born on the reef.
I mean, that is the thing about I feel maybe the older I get or the more surfing I watch is style becomes more and more and more important. And people who have genetically good style, like who just like I watched a Mikey February clip the other day, and he just surfs so beautifully, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like poetry in motion. And I know people probably think some of his stuff is affected, but it doesn't look affected to me anymore. Like that is his, I don't know, instrument. That's the way he dances on the wave.
Right.
And yeah, like it's hard. And the people who have bad styles too, like, love me some Adriano de Souza. Nothing against the little plumber, but man, is that an ugly style, right? Like it is an unpleasing style to watch.
Well, if listeners want to hear a deep discussion on style, I'm publishing an episode with Devin Howard this week of Surf Splendor, and he does a deep dissertation on style, how, why it matters, how it's a reflection of function. It's not a form, it is a reflection of function. Like,
Because
um,
that's when style looks good, right? It's like if something looks forced, if you're doing something styly that is not has nothing to do with the function, then that's when it's all everybody's mocking.
yeah. And coming from Devin, obviously, is a very credible source, but he gives all the credit to Scott Hewlett because Hewlett wrote about it at some point, and Devin came across the writing, and then that's kind of spurred the ideas for Devin. But we do at least 30 minutes on it, and I think it's really, really compelling, actually.